Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority. It is June 4th, 2018. Roll call, Dixie.
Colburn.
Here.
Gilbert. Here. Franklin.
Here.
Hicks.
Here.
Ahern.
Here.
Seabold. Morrell.
Here.
Streller.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. I do declare a quorum. Brian Ahern's gone.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you tonight and ask for your strong presence and blessings for the meeting we are about to have tonight. Father, we would ask that you lead the way in how we complete the items on the agenda, how we agree or disagree with one another, how we talk and listen to one another, and how we respect one another's views and opinions in the democratic process of our city government. We thank you for your presence and your guidance. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Item 1, consent agenda. We have just one item on there. We have a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second. Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Colburn.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. We'll move on down to item number 4, comments from those assembled. Anyone have any comments about this agenda tonight? Municipal Assembly. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to proclamation, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Staff, council. Seeing none, we have our presentation from OMPA by Representative Jennifer Rogers. Hi, Jennifer.
You guys move fast. I like that. I'm going to give you guys just a brief update on everything that's going on at OMPA. We've got a little bit of stuff going on. Every April, our board of directors takes a board retreat, and Chuck Hall serves on our board for Terry's position. In April, our board discussed the arising industry issues with the electric industry, meaning solar, battery storage, electric vehicles. So out of that board retreat, the board has asked staff to come up with a toolkit for our members, like Perry, for you guys to use. So we have staffed Sean West, who heads up our demand and energy efficiency program, to start drafting a toolkit to try and help our member cities with emerging technologies, like electric vehicles, charging stations, battery storage backup, and solar. So we're in the process right now of putting that toolkit together. I know Sean has sent out a survey to member cities asking them to complete things if you would be interested in having a charging, and I know you guys have charging stations here, but a lot of cities don't. But you guys are luckily on the I-35 corridor, so you guys are pretty lucky on that. So we are developing that toolkit, and so hopefully we'll get that rolling out sometime this year. One thing that we're working on that is going to be new is a elected officials meeting. OMPA, we're going to start holding regional meetings in regions of Oklahoma for elected officials. Basically, it would be a newly elected officials, maybe even those who have been on the council for a while, but to educate you on the importance of your rate structure while owning your electric utility, how to better understand those rates, since you guys are the decision-making authority. I know we're not all experts in the electric field, so this is something we're trying to help it's going to be a long course, but also help you understand the benefit of owning your own electric utility, which some cities don't have, and the sales tax offset that you guys get from owning your own utility, and trying to maintain that utility and make sure it stays up to date. We haven't set any dates or times, but we will be getting with city staff and city managers and Dixie, obviously, to go over those and try to get some regional meetings set, and we'll get that information out to you guys, so that way maybe you guys can get, hopefully it'll give you guys, and when I first started, I had no idea what a megawatt hour or megawatt or anything was, and it kind of really dives deep into rates and how you should structure and plan for the future while owning your own utility. So we're going to be looking at that. Another thing that we're working on right now is the Value of Public Power campaign. OMPA, our board of directors, noticed that there had been a shift in, as you guys know, councils change over and they sometimes don't understand why do we own our own electric utility. So our board put together, we've brought in the money to help do all the marketing so cities don't have to pay for it. But we're starting a year, well, it's going to be longer than a year, maybe 5 to 10 year marketing campaign to try and educate not only citizens but elected officials down at 23rd and Lincoln on what is the value of owning a municipal electric utility. Dixie actually serves on that committee. We have a committee comprised of probably about 12 or 15 people from member cities. Dixie's on that committee. She's on a lot of committees that we have, so she helps us out a lot. We have already decided on the logo, and the next meeting we're going to work on the marketing materials. What our hopes is for this campaign, we hope to roll it out before Public Power Week, which you guys usually have a celebration at City Hall. Public Power Week's just a way to say thank you to the customers and try to educate them on what the value of the electric utility provides to the city. So we are going to be trying to launch that campaign sometime come this fall. Legislative activities, I'm the one who works with the legislators up at 23rd and Lincoln for OMPA, so I'm the internal lobbyist for OMPA. I don't know if you guys remember a few years back, they were going to try and take some money from us when they had a deficit, which then in turn we would pass along to you guys as an increase. So they haven't done that for a while, thank gosh. So we came out unscathed so far, but we're going to need to continue the efforts to educate lawmakers on the importance of OMPA to your city and why they shouldn't, because we get bunched in that state agency talk, even though we're somewhat not a state agency because we don't get any state funding. So we'll have some more luncheons once primaries are over with and we kind of know who the candidates might be. We'll try to have some, I've had a couple of luncheons here with Gordon and Dixie and some of your elected officials before in the past, but we're going to need to keep educating them on public power, the value of it, the value of owning a utility, and then what role we play as your wholesale power supplier, because we are going to have a lot of new faces come November. Other than that, we still have our demand and energy efficiency program. You guys are very active in that. That's for commercial industrial customers. As long as they do any energy efficiency upgrades that reduce your summer peak load, which is this time of year, we'll write you a rebate check. I know you guys have taken well advantage of that in the past, and that's at no cost to the city of Perry. We still offer that. We still do free residential energy audits. I know we're getting into the summer months. People are going to start complaining about high bills and whatnot, and as long as they get their electricity from the city of Perry, they can get a free residential audit, and we'll just walk through their house, maybe try to suggest some energy efficiency improvements they can make. And then we still have our rebate program that you guys participate in for the air conditioners, heat pumps, and ceiling insulation. So with that, we just got big things on the EVs and battery and future of the electric utility with solar and all that, so that's going to be coming up in the future. But that's all I have for right now. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions?
Jennifer, I have a question.
Yeah.
You referred to our charging station along I-35. That is just for Tesla automobiles. So what's OMPA suggesting?
We are right now working, the Secretary of Energy, okay, so the state is getting a Volkswagen settlement because Volkswagen got in trouble for some emission standards that they did. And so the state is going to be getting a lot of money through NCOG and ACOG. They're all going to be a part of that to pay for charging stations, pay for electric vehicles, try to bring them to the forefront. We have discussed, Perry, that one's only for Tesla. The Secretary of Energy's group is putting together an EV coalition on electric vehicles, and they're trying to identify places where a charging station would work, and obviously they're targeting I-35 and I-44 corridors and I-40. So there is going to be money available. It's still in its infancy stage because the Volkswagen money hasn't been received yet by the state, but we're going to be working with the Secretary of Energy. They're kind of heading this up, the state Secretary of Energy, and then we will relay the message to our cities and get with everybody to see where you guys think, if you have a suggestion on a good location, and we'll try to work with those cities that are in this corridor,
Okay.
if that would work.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, you guys are easy.
Thank you very, very
Have a good
much.
night. Thanks, I'll see you soon.
Any new business to be brought before the authority this evening? Any new business? And number 8?
Motion adjourned.
Second. Thank you. Roll call.
Colern.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Iker.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. I do call, declare a quorum, and we'll take on item number 1, which is consent
Roll
agenda.
call.
Gotta go first.
You didn't do the roll call?
No, that's adjourned on the other meeting.
All right, I call this meeting to order. It is June 4th, 2018. This is the regular meeting of the City Council, City of Perry. I'm getting too old for this. Roll call, Dixie.
Calhoun.
Here.
Gilbert. Here. Franklin.
Here.
Hicks.
Here's 2
Ahern.
times.
Here.
Seabolt. Morrell.
Here.
Stroller.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. Thank you, Dixie. Consent agenda, items A through E. Consider those in a whole, or if you'd like to discuss one in more detail or have questions about one, please.
I'd like to pull off E for discussion.
Thank you. You make a motion on the others? A through D?
I'll make a motion to approve A through D.
Second.
Roll call, Dixie.
Calhoun.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Go ahead, Bill.
I just want to know some background on what's going on.
As the memorandum mentioned, made aware the last couple of weeks of a particular piece of property behind Three Sands, Comeback Cafe, and 611 Bakehouse. Presented a letter of intent to the property owner as the first step to begin to use to purchase the rest of those properties over the next couple of years so that we can have a public parking lot right there. We're having some issues with parking downtown. Most of it is during the rush hour, but we also, when you look around what's behind all 4 corners, 4 sides of downtown, we're losing more parking space. Let's say, for instance, it's Celebration. We used to be able to park over at the old Vance building. We're not gonna be able to do that anymore. So this is the first step in creating a public parking lot right there.
Okay, the memorandum says that it extends from behind Three Sands and Comeback, and extends down to 611 Bakehouse. And the area you've got highlighted is a block away from Three Sands, or half a block.
We're talking about just that whole area right in there, not that particular place, not the particular parcel that I'm trying to buy right now, or that's what's before you. But just the whole, that would be the master plan, that whole area right in there. So it's just to the east of the event center.
So the $8,000 you have set out here is just for that one little piece though?
That is for that 35 by 162.5 foot lot. The 25-foot lot plus 10 of the next lot to the west. It's the eastern 10 feet of that.
So what is the intent with that lot to prepare it for public parking?
We would begin to, first of all, there's a lease on that particular property from Sam's Auto. That would go away. He could move his car someplace else, but not there. And we would begin to work on a plan to develop that.
One of my things that I want to try and accomplish in that area, Bill, is to provide a storm detention area and use that parking lot for that purpose, where you build a shallow pan-like parking lot that will allow the water to run off slowly at the historical rate, yet you develop a hard-based parking lot. We're hoping that doing that, we can take the water coming from the west that jumps the alley and floods the bakehouse at times and floods down the street a little further and fill that whole area with water, because the sand and gravel fills in the valley that's in the existing alleyway and silts it in, so the water just doesn't do what the valley was designed for it to do. So if we reconfigure the alley from the west, have the water flow into this parking lot first, that which is running off from the parking's up the street there by the event center. That all comes down that hill into that alley. Then we can hold that and let it out at a rate that's historical instead of developed. Historical is about a 50% runoff.
Because of
rate.
that parking area, we can do that?
Yeah, if we do that parking area, we can sink it. It comes in the south end and flows slowly out the north end. That way we can slow down.
So you're building a retention pond and not a parking lot?
We're building a parking lot, but it will act as about a 6-inch deep retention pond for an hour or so in an event of a storm. That prevents some downstream flooding. That's what I'm trying to take care of. We do these, we've done one out here at the commercial park. I've done them in the past for just a drive-up bank. The city of Oklahoma City required it. You couldn't have a rate flew out of your business that was higher than the historical. You had to build a detention area to hold it and let it flow out over an hour and a half or so at the historical rate instead of flood rate or developed rate. 99% of the water hits a parking lot and goes off. I'm trying to slow that down to where it's the 50% level, that it was grass. And this parking area back here, we can do two things: provide public parking and a detention area for flood runoff.
We'd also talked about, it doesn't necessarily have to be asphalt paved or concrete. There's alternative ways that we can pave it, actually to keep some grass in there. If you've been to Zaxby's in Stillwater, they have that kind of plan that we're talking about. And I forget the name of exactly what it is.
It's a grid system that you lay down that they filled it with gravel, so it slowly seeps through and drains that way. It helps them with their runoff coefficient over there. What I want to do is put that down, but plant grass in it where you have a hard surface to drive and park on, yet it will still grow grass.
So what do we expect the whole thing to cost?
Don't know, that's bargaining.
Yeah, and as you can see, there are only two other property owners there. Mr. Randall owns most of it. Sands owns right there in the middle, almost.
That property of Randall's did not go with the
It did not.
other deal?
No, sir, it did not.
Okay.
The property did not.
The parking lot designs that are being used now and the standards for that, if we could get 4 lots down here, we could start, and then as we are able to purchase, we could, if the council is in favor at that time, buy more to build more parking and more detention area. I just think it's wise at this time to consider flood down in our downtown because the existing storm sewers are not adequate. We all know that. And to build new ones is just, until the state comes in with a major road project down Old 77, we're not going to be building any storm sewer for that period. And so we need to figure out a way to slow it down. This is a scientifically proven way to slow storm water runoff down.
Historically, that alley's been prone to flooding for quite some time, for a long time, actually. If you go into the IOOF building, you can smell the water that has accumulated in that building just from soaking through the foundation because of inadequate runoff or ability to drain the water. Brian and the bakehouse have had many times when he's had to mop up his back room because of water coming around. The water flowing down there also heads south across the wrestling park. Profiling this whole area and profiling that alley coming down will help reduce all of those problems when we have large rainstorms. So we can look at it as part of our drainage program that says we're going to try and fix drainage that is affecting, or excessive water flow that is affecting our residents. And so this is one of those things that I think can fall under that.
Can it be paid out of it?
Hmm?
Can it be paid out of that?
Probably not that much.
That was my
Would you ask
question.
Chris Levy, can you
Can
hear?
it be paid out of that drainage fee?
I don't, I can't answer
I
that.
don't know if there's enough money in
Well,
Well, we
It's-
could use
Well, that was
some
my
of this.
question is, where would the money come even for this purchase? Was it in the budget for this, are we, this fiscal year, or are we predicting into next year?
I think we like your part. I think that can come out of economic development, because I see that as a good part to come out of that. The drainage part, we'll have to look at that to see where it can come out of.
There's there's at least $8,000 in there, which is what the cost of this is.
Right, yeah.
What- As far as whether it qualifies for it, I would have to go back and actually read
it. Okay.
what that was set
Well,
aside for.
This is kind of an anchor for that drainage project, because that's where the detention of the pond needs to be, because that's the end of the flow before it goes on down the street.
well, all the justification you guys are trying to do is making it worse for me. Because we have a sewer project that I've been asking for a priority list and we still haven't got. And we're trying to figure out whether to do AMR phase 3 or phase 4 on a sewer project that we can't pay for. And now we're asking to buy a parking lot, and the more you talk, the more expensive it's getting. So,
But that's-
that's my number one problem, okay? Let's go to number 2. This is the first time we've heard about this, okay? You have a signed contract already on that piece of property.
No, I do not. I have a letter of intent.
That looked like a signed contract
Uh, that could be. It was predicated on council approval.
it's got closing date listed and everything.
It's predicated on council approval. Told that to the property owner. The lift station is in the capital projects, in the capital improvement projects that we'll get to a little bit later. That's in there.
I did see that, but there's no priority list like we've been asking for a month.
AMI is still my priority, and the lift station's right after that. Now, the lift station's gonna be a two fiscal year project. Pump number 3, which is the largest pump, is giving us some problems, but I can't fix that until I fix 1 and 2. We have to have something to rely on. So 1 and 2, that's the $375,000 to replace 2 pumps. With the engineering, permitting, and SCADA, it's $150,000 of that. That would be in there. That SCADA communications will be in that part.
Okay.
I have a question. I own the building, the apartment down right from where you're talking about, and then right there in front of that is my office. And I wanna know how that's gonna affect my property when all that water comes running down there.
Well, the water comes running down there now, and we're trying to take it off.
We're gonna divert it to the north, so it won't be running down towards your area.
So do those lots run north and south?
Yes.
And you're buying the whole lot of, the complete lot of 15 and the east 10 feet of 16? You gotta buy, and that's where the parking's gonna be?
That's the beginning,
That's the ultimate plan.
right there. That's the first start.
Like phase 1.
But the building with the grid system that I've looked at should be no more than if we've asphalt the thing. We're not gonna build a parking lot and cover it with gravel. We will pave it, and I wanna pave it in an ecologically sensitive manner, that is a better manner, or a more environmentally manner that will not take all the grass out of it. If you wanted asphalt, we can do that, I don't care. But it's up to you to accept whether to purchase this property or not.
I don't have a problem with the concept of it. It's just right now, it just doesn't seem like it's the best time, because we've got property right now that we can't even sell, that's just sitting there. And I think the citizens are gonna be pissed when we just keep buying land and just buy it and buy it and buy it. And it sits, and then our employees are having to mow it all, take care of it until we do something. And that's my only concern really about any of it.
For the comment.
Well, I agree to the point of, I mean, obviously, I'm one of those that potentially impacts water issues, although we don't have water issues as much as we used to because of some issues that we had to deal with, as our own issues. I just think that it's such a balancing act, that this is such a timing issue of such a tight budget, and we're asking people to potentially not take raises and not getting cost of living and all of that, and then we go out and we purchase a property. Even though it's not that much really in comparison to the budget, it's kind of the concept of it really, the timing of it really. And I understand real estate, sometimes you have to be proactive and get it when you can and all those kinds of things. I think that's what we have to balance out. But for me, it's difficult for kind of the same reasons that Crystal's saying. It's just kind of a timing issue. It would be easy for people who just see that we bought property, but yet we're going to increase utilities and things. Sometimes they'll put those two together. I mean, I've had people come in and say, you guys, no wonder you guys raise utilities because you're building wrestling monuments. And they're not connected, but that's what people,
The perception.
perception is.
You're right.
Yeah. So I just think it's a balancing act, really.
And to your point, the dedicated cash is there, but it is not in the budget as far as for a specific,
For the one coming up.
for this year or for next
Oh,
year.
okay.
So it's not designated.
But when I said that there was cash available, that restricted cash is sitting in an account that you all see on a monthly basis.
But it is restricted.
There is a drainage fee that's restricted. I'm sorry, I'm pulling it up right now.
Do we need comments any further?
Just one more comment. Do we have anything else like this lying back that we're not aware of?
When you look at that, like I mentioned, when you look at the areas behind each block, basically, this is the only one that qualifies.
But I mean, any other projects of any sort that need to be brought forth?
No, that I'm aware of.
Ms. Back.
I have a store there on 7th Street, you know, where George's does that, and all that alley that's to the west of that. That floods all the time, and you've been told about it, and several other people have been told about it. We get maybe like 2 feet of water sometimes down there, and it actually floods some of those little houses in there. And nobody's ever said they're gonna come down and help fix that. I think that should be more, you don't have to buy any land, you just gotta fix that drainage somehow, because it runs down there. And it literally, and if it's too much, it comes right up into our lot there, clear up to our doors, and it, yeah, so.
Is this the alley right over here? Is that what you're talking about?
Uh-huh. Everything runs down that alley, and then it spreads up into the empty lot that we have between the 2 buildings. And it's this deep in there, and it floods those little houses, and nobody seems too concerned about that. It wouldn't cost you anything, just be better drainage, and all those culverts get all plugged up with junk coming running down there, and it's a mess.
So I'll make,
If you want a project to stop the flooding, that's a good one right there.
Sorry, I did talk to administration about that when you brought it up, I think, what, 4 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't get followed through. I apologize.
I'll make the motion to put E back on the consent agenda and we'll vote on it.
Need a second?
Second.
This is a vote to approve item E of the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Holder,
No.
Gilbreath,
No.
Franklin,
No.
Hicks,
Yes.
Ahern,
No.
Morrell,
No.
Streller,
No.
Johnson.
Yes. All right, we'll move on now to item 4, comments from those assembled. Who's first?
Well, we didn't know if it was this time or whenever it came to the budget time.
That would be a good time.
This
We
is
come
the
up here.
time.
Okay. All right.
Ready?
No, you can't sit back down.
Introduce
She lost.
yourself,
I
please.
had scissors.
Yeah. Gotta get better at that game. So, what I wanted to read to you guys tonight is kind of a letter, kind of a half press release, half all kinds of different things that we put together over this past year that talks about things that we're doing, things that we've done. And I know that probably some of you have read parts of this in the past, but I wanted to put it together and read it to you all face to face, and then not just ramble on like I normally do up here. There's a way for smaller communities to compete in today's economy, and we believe a strong downtown and Main Street organization is a part of that solution. This is why. Downtowns have been battered in recent decades. Big box and internet retail paired with the globalization of production have exposed communities to unprecedented competition. Sprawling development and migration have emptied out many small downtowns, yet some downtowns are thriving. These communities leverage the density of older and historic buildings, educational institutions, and community and cultural facilities in their town centers to attract investment and bringing new vitality to once hollowed out downtowns. Decades-old prognostications about how the internet would make location obsolete have failed to come true. Place matters more than ever. That's as true in rural and mid-sized towns as it is in the largest of cities, all of which are competing to attract talented workers and global capital. In 2009, DeBeck, Iowa, population 58,000, successfully attracted an IBM service center to a historic downtown building, bringing 1,300 quality jobs in part because of the community's investment in downtown and quality of life for residents. Activating public space creates a sense of excitement and provides the momentum to sustain long-term revitalization efforts. Affordable and easy implementable projects range from installation of crosswalk art to the addition of pocket parks, or Alley of the Arts that we did. All of these endeavors encourage folks to get out, linger in, and support their downtown. Thriving Main Street organizations also foster entrepreneurship by identifying and supporting existing or would-be business owners. Local revitalization efforts clear the path for entrepreneurs, connecting them with financing, space, training, and other resources. Emporia, Kansas, population 25,000, is just one example, having launched or expanded its 70th small business in the last 15 years, thanks to an innovative revolving fund and hands-on education for business owners. And while not every town can cultivate advanced industries, smaller scale manufacturers can bolster local economies and enliven a downtown. In Leadville, Colorado, population 2,600, Melanzana Outdoor Clothing is booming as a small manufacturer of specialty clothing. In Water Valley, Mississippi, population 3,300, the Yolabusha Brewing Company produces ale out of an old building and sells their products regionally. These businesses and thousands of others benefit from a growing consumer preference for American-made artisanal goods and contribute directly to the health of their downtowns. Finally, downtown housing is essential. The same factors that motivate millennials and boomers to live in walkable, mixed-use neighborhoods in big cities are driving these populations to locate downtown in smaller towns. Investing in housing helps to retain and in some cases attract the old and young, and it creates more pedestrian traffic to support retail, dining, and service storefronts. Towns like Mount Vernon, Iowa, 4,600,000, have revitalized their downtowns in part by converting upper stories into housing. Creating thriving small and mid-sized towns, of course, is no small task. It requires local leaders, business owners, and community residents to come together to identify their assets, strategically situate themselves in their regional economy, and develop a shared vision and identity to sell to the world. Communities make this vision a reality by creating quality public spaces, prioritizing local entrepreneurship, emphasizing production, and supporting downtown housing. Since 1995, Main Street of Perry has been one of the most successful main streets in Oklahoma. For over 35 years, Main Street organizations everywhere have been the most successful influence in downtown revitalization all across the nation. The National Main Street has piloted and is now implementing the refreshed Main Street approach, a common sense strategy-driven framework that guides community-based revitalization efforts. The Main Street approach harnesses the social, economic, physical, and cultural assets that set a place apart, and ultimately leads to tangible outcomes that benefit the entire community. And now we are excited to tell this new story. Because we have always done it this way will not be the way. While the Main Street approach has proven itself to be effective, the community development field has changed dramatically over the course of the past 4 decades. In many ways, new trends in planning, development, and preservation build off principles that those in the Main Street network have long understood. The revitalization must be inclusive and representative of the community, that a place's distinctive characteristics and older and historic buildings are its greatest assets, and that fostering a strong local business environment creates enormous dividends for the entire community. As we adopt the National Main Streets refreshed approach, we will become an organization that is more adaptable. We'll actually be having our board retreat discussing this and implementing that this Wednesday. Instead of the 4 committees based on the 4 points, Main Street of Perry will now have committees and projects on a needs-based approach of the people interested. An example of this approach is the Perry Project. A group of inspired, concerned, and progressive community members began meeting on a weekly basis following the 3-day Ron Drake consultation to carry on the torch of downtown revitalization. Their main goal is creating sales tax revenue based on the 3 R's: restaurant, retail, and residential. Project members began collecting donations and preparing applications to assist current and future business and building owners. Downsize but upscale. Why are we doing this, and what is most important at this point? As we go through this reorganizing process, this question has become crucial during our 2018 year. On the surface, we will do less, but we will be putting our best into that less. There will be a mix of the new and twists in the old. Economic vitality has found to be one of the most underutilized aspects of Main Street's 4-point approach all across Oklahoma and the nation. We are excited to be enhancing this point by partnering with Small Business Spoken Here and sponsoring small business workshops. And we are all the they. Why won't they do something about dilapidating buildings? When will they bring a new restaurant to town? Why won't they save our downtown? We all want a thriving downtown, but are we all willing to put in the effort? If you want change, be a part of the change. Get involved. Today is the day, and now is the time. We need leaders, we need workers, and we need those behind the computers. We are not waiting on the day that is often referred to bring back our downtown. You are the they, we are all the they. Main Street of Perry needs the city's support. We need it now more than ever for one reason: investment. Investment financially in our organization, investment physically in our organization, and most importantly, an overall investment in Perry's future. King Solomon said it best: above all, guard your heart, for it's the wellspring of life. Proverbs 4:23. And then at the end of that, I have our projected 2018-2019 administrative expenses. I'm not sure if that, I sent it to you, I think, but I can pass it around. I'll keep. That is it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll try to keep mine a little bit longer than that one, but.
I was talking really, really fast.
I thought she was gonna pass out.
I know.
She's like turning red. Take a breath, girl.
I
I know, now she's
That's the second time in a row we're giving.
And read really fast.
Yes. No, first and foremost, of course, the Chamber of Commerce wants to thank the City Council and City of Perry for its continued support. You have provided funding for us that helps us to promote and support businesses, residents, and our local community. This year, coming into it, with Walmart closing down, it was really doom and gloom over Perry, and all of us have rallied together, Main Street, City of Perry, myself,
And we've really worked together to enhance Perry. We're trying to bring more things to Perry. And that all goes together with, the chamber. We coordinate our yearly events. We do Spring Fest, which was really good this year. We had over 115 cars registered at that event, which really just increases revenue for the city. Increases revenue, brings people to Perry, which puts heads on beds, and all of that goes back to support our community. We appreciate City of Perry for contributing in the growth and stability, and that is with our chamber. We provide the visitor center, which is good. We answer calls, many calls, questions from the community, concerns of the community, good and bad. We're on Hatebook. We listen to people's feelings and thoughts and try to take care of them. And we have our website that has all of the information for our events, and we also put out a chamber newsletter. We coordinate these events, and really all it does is it brings our city leaders, our residents, our businesses together and provide traditional events that Perry loves and has always loved. And that is just growing year after year. Every year we're trying a little bit more to bring to the community. We have Touch a Truck that's become a really good event. We're planning a gala this year, which is something new to Perry. Celebration, which is everybody's favorite event, the Homecoming of Perry. And all of these are just growing with the years to come. The Chamber of Commerce, we serve as a resource for businesses and individuals, and this has really built this year more than I think it ever has in the past. Our relationship with City, Main Street, and our community has grown. And we're seeing these businesses that are wanting to relocate and come into Perry, and they're needing that resource of help. And all of us are really on the same page working together and providing that for them and showing them that we're here and we want them here in our community. And that speaks volumes to businesses that are coming in and searching for something, because we have that niche. And we've all known it, but we are spreading that to people that are coming in here, and they're really wanting to stay and thrive and grow and have business in Perry. And all of that comes back and benefits all of us. It benefits our city, our community, and us as business leaders and members in our community. My turn. Mainly, we appreciate all of your support. We appreciate funding, and we ask that our funding remains for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. We appreciate your support, and mostly we appreciate participation at events and activities that we provide for you and our community.
Questions for Noel?
Questions?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Thank you. We'll move on to item 6. City manager's remarks. Oh,
No, it's not.
we just did that, didn't we? We're gonna go to item 5, pardon me, proclamation, commendation, reports, inquiry for the governing body. Council, staff, anyone? Thank you. Move on to item 6, which is city manager's remarks. Mr. Purnell.
Thank you, Sheriff. You have a picture of a plane that's in a place that's not supposed to be?
Yard art.
Yard art. I wanted to let you know that this occurred early Saturday morning. Perry PD was called, the county was called, the Highway Patrol was called, FAA was called. I usually get that FFA, but FAA was called.
Them two.
It is a field.
No one was injured, and there really was no damage except a pretty good size rut that was at the end of the runway. Apparently what happened is the pilot, who's actually one of our tenants, flipped the fuel switch the wrong way. So when it came time to take off, he realized that he really wasn't in the air and probably so shut it down. So it was all done about 10 o'clock in the morning, and appreciate staff and everybody that helped us get out there. If you've been by the old lumber yard, you'll see that all the lumber yard is gone. They're now kind of sprucing up the dirt, so to speak. Drove out this
Amazing.
afternoon, just parked.
It looks amazing.
It does, it does. Prior to coming here, I went out to Regency Inn. They have a big excavator out there, ready to go. So-
Is the same guy doing that out there, do you know?
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's K&M Wrecking. Other than that, any questions on the city manager messenger or anything? Thank you much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Item 7, we're going to conduct a public hearing for FY 2018-2019 budget and continued discussion of the budget. The proposed budget complies with all regulations, including those requiring fund balances. Proper statutory notice has been given to the public concerning this hearing. Notice was published in Perry Daily Journal, May 26, 2018. The Chief Financial Officer has provided a memo specifically addressing the significant budget issues. At this hearing, the public is specifically asked to provide any input, questions, or comments on the budget for further consideration. Anyone wish to speak concerning the budget in the audience?
Yes, I do.
Please take the podium.
Well, I think to have another 4% increase, it's not gonna help the people that live here. It costs about $1,500 minimum just to move to Perry. If you're renting, you gotta pay your first and last month's rent usually. You gotta do your utilities, your gas, and by the time you pay all that and all of your other expenses just to get moved in, you're looking at $1,500. And that's for a little bitty house. And then you're gonna up it 4% more, and you just raised the rates not too long ago. I have an office that I have my law office in, and I pretty well shut it down. And I use no water. In fact, I've just got my bill. It shows I don't use no water, but yet I've been charged $25 for water, $31 for sewer, $22 for garbage, and the drainage fee of $3, and the administrative fee of $5.50, plus all these sales taxes. It's cost me whether I have utilities on or not. And I don't know how older people are either gonna have to quit taking their medicine or quit buying so much food, or they're gonna shut off their air conditioning if they even have it. And they'll have a little fan sitting there and it'll be 99 degrees in their house. I've seen it, and I've watched people do that. They had to make a decision between if they're gonna take their medicine or if they're gonna eat. They're sure not gonna stay cool. Can't afford it. I just think this is, it really don't matter what people say, the citizens,
Sure it does.
it still keeps going up and up and up. And I imagine this will still be the same, but by golly, I thought I better say something.
Oh, we appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Input from anyone?
I might add one more thing. People are moving out of town because they can't afford to live in Perry. They can live in Morrison and drive back and forth to work a lot easier than to live here. It's just, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous.
Now, I know there's a lot of them, because I leave Perry at 5:30 in the morning. And Highway 64 out there is worse than interstate.
I like
think we need to have a special meeting over the budget and not try to sit here and approve this right now.
We're not here to approve it.
Okay, good.
We're here to listen. Betty?
I'd like to ask a question.
Can you come up here?
I just have one question. I want to know what the hotel motel tax is right now.
Got it.
I didn't see it on the budget.
And we split it out on, not on the budget, but on the monthly financials. Let me just pull up April's financials for you just a second. Hotel motel tax in the month of April was $18,140. Year-to-date was $166,608. That was as of April.
We still have that line item because of you, Betty.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
That's our name.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's still there.
I'm just saying that I was told when I was here that we had to make $27,000 just to pay what we put on hotel motel tax. So that means we're going in the red, and that's why our utilities are having to go up.
That and Walmart leaving and all the money we had to put into the hospital to save it. Yes, ma'am, that was a lot of it also. We lost $26,000 a month a year ago, June, that we're having to deal with.
But our ballpark, if we can't pay our ballpark, that goes back on our utilities.
But
That's
the
way it would
motel,
go.
hotel tax is taking care of that.
Not if it's not making 27,000.
Debt service on the hotel motel for that was the 2013 bonds, is about $14,000 a month, just the debt service on it. So the $18,000, the current month receipts are covering the portion of that debt. And for reference sake, council, if you all got a copy of the budget with you, you flip to page, sorry, I just had it, page 6. Page 6 down at the bottom, under economic development, this is just the revenue piece. Yeah, second line from the bottom, hotel motel tax. It's budgeted $180,000 for FY 18-19. Sorry.
Any further discussion, council?
I have been over this budget pretty hard, and I think I've got it resolved where I'm at, other than I need some help with Chief Thomas. This budget includes an additional 3 officers.
2. Our current staff we've been running for years is 13. I've requested 15, and that was the fact we're wanting to put 2 officers in our school systems this next year. With everything that's going on around the world, we had an incident last year with the kid with the weapon. I want the community to know we'll have an officer in the upper and lower, we'll have an officer in high schools. For me to be able to do that, to take 2 off the street currently, I need to replace 2, keep our staff going. I just think it's a great move as far as people in the town that have kids that go to school, they got a security knowing that there's a policeman there while their kids are attending school. So that's why I've asked for 2 extra.
I have no qualms with that. I'm just trying to get my numbers straight in my head.
Yes, we've run 13. We had, well, in 2009, I had 17. And we just kept dwindling down. We've been running 13 officers since 2013.
Is that gonna require 2 more cars?
Well, as my request, I did that, but I know it's tough right now, and we can just, if we can do that, great. If not, we're gonna share cars if I can get the staff.
If we decided for right now, we'd share cars.
Yeah.
Do we have any reimbursement coming back from the school system on that?
For one officer.
one complete salary?
No,
No,
well,
just the compensation, not.
they're
the
gonna
benefits.
pay an officer equivalent to what they pay a teacher, which will help us, I mean, it's helping us as far, it's not the full salary, which is pretty close to a beginning officer's salary, but they are gonna compensate for one officer,
And that's for 9 months.
yes.
So what, let's talk about that, then what is the officer gonna do, is going to patrol during summertime?
That's what Lieutenant Odell's doing currently right now, they don't get their 3-month vacation, they.
No, I realize that, I'm asking
Yeah,
what your
he's back
plans
on
are.
the streets, and it helps because the summertime is our high crime time, because everybody's out running at night, our cars get broke into, and we've got more officers on the street that way.
If we reduce your 3 officers that are budgeted here to 2 officers, can you handle it, or is that far beyond?
Well, I mean, if I had my 13 that I've been running with forever, I mean, that's good, that would be a great where we're at, but for me to take 2 off the street to put up there, it's gonna put us kind of in a bind.
Okay, where I'm confused, our budget proposes adding 3 officers, and that's really a school officer and 2 street officers, is what's being proposed. Can you do it with 2, 1 school and 1 off the street?
Are you talking, I asked for 2 officers compared to what we have currently right now. We have 13, I want 2 more.
Somewhere along, maybe your 2 officers plus this school officer's got to issue.
No, it'd just be 2 officers is what I need, not for 1 more. Just 15 total for the department instead of the 13 I've requested for 2 officers.
And you're not replacing your assistant chief?
That's correct,
So was he considered a part of the 13?
yes. And with saving the assistant chief's salary, you can almost, I mean, it's,
So if he's part of the 13, you are replacing him
no.
to get back to 13?
No, I'm taking the assistant chief out until economics get up, and later on down the road, we can look at that.
Okay,
I
so
need
if
to
you have
get
13 officers and he quits, that puts you at 12, and you're wanting to get to 15, so that's 3 officers.
Well, I've had more quit since then. I've had 3 officers quit the last week and a half. So right now, we are at 10 officers in this department. That's counting myself.
I guess I'm getting confused too, because if you're not replacing the assistant chief, or you're not replacing the title, or Larry's saying you're not replacing it, so it's a salary you're saving, but you are replacing.
Not replacing that
I'm not
position.
putting an assistant.
Not the title, but you are replacing that body. You have to get
Yeah,
back
I'm
to.
wanting to keep 13, but I'm
Yeah.
utilizing
But we
that
thought-
officer instead of assistant chief, I want to put in the schools.
You just won't have a title called assistant chief.
Exactly.
You won't have the salary either.
The salary, you're almost getting 2 officers for 1 with that salary list.
Is the discussion with the school in terms of how much is negotiated, is that a done deal? In terms of how much they're going to potentially reimburse?
Well, when everything happened last year, I mean, Larry and I got together and we gave an officer for free last year. We wanted to assure the safety for the end of the school year. They really, I mean, I can't get enough praise from the school, how much they appreciate us. And for appreciation, they're willing to compensate a teacher's salary to have that officer there. And we just want to, as being a good steward, we want to put another officer in the school. Yeah, the city's going to take the bill, but I just like the security knowing if your kid's at school, we got an officer there if something happens instead of having, I mean, we're going to get there quick, but it just looks better on paper, I believe, the safety for the parents knowing that there's an officer at school while their kids are going to school.
But to answer your question, there's not an intergovernmental agreement.
I'm only asking, I'm not asking in terms of disagreeing that there should be 2 policemen. I'm asking in terms of who should assume the responsibility fiscally of having police officers in the school. I mean, we can argue all day that the school system isn't going to be able to afford that and all those kinds of things, but the city's in the same position.
Exactly.
So they should be forced to look at things much like we are in terms of how much more are they willing to put forward to bring 2 policemen into the schools? Which there's not a person in this room who's going to disagree with the fact that that's a great thing to have, given the world that we live in.
And I can talk to Dr. McClarty, they haven't made their final decision yet, so I mean, I can take that to the table and see if that goes.
I mean, they're making decisions about, do we build an auditorium, do we do this, and all those kinds of things, just like what we face here on city council. And sometimes you have to put where are your priorities, really? And I think that's what I'm asking is there room to negotiate more of a salary to help the schools, really?
Most schools, if not all, in the past have paid for the security and running the whole thing, so.
Right.
That was one of the questions I also had, is I'm glad we're able to loan an officer, but with things as tight as they are and not trying to barter over children and their safety,
No.
but as far as who pays for it, you know, we're stuck behind a budget too that we're really struggling with.
I do wonder, and I don't know, Brian, I'm not an expert on it, but no farther than our schools are apart, if we could run one officer
And that's what could happen.
in both schools, and they never know when he or she's gonna be in that school.
And that's kind of what we did last year. I mean, Lieutenant Odell went to both schools throughout the day, and, you know, that's doable, absolutely. But, you know, that's why I was asking if we could do that, and that's, like I said, I'd go to the table and talk to Dr. McClarty and see if the schools can come up with paying for 2. I know Stillwater, they got an officer in each and every school there in town, but they also have a lot more tax base and can do that as well.
The budget numbers we have in front of us, as I understand them, as the school paying $32,000 toward the salary, which basically is our police officer's salary for 9 months. The other 3 months he'd be back to us. And then the second officer is on us. That's the way it stands in the budget right now.
Yes.
I might say that the school does have a safety committee formed, and they're looking at a lot of different things to do, including the purchasing of cameras and different things that would also aid in the safety, and they're doing a lot, which is also costing them money too. So they're making a lot of changes that probably will come out just before the school year starts.
I know they've talked about we discussed at the upper and lower, that's a really, when we do officer lockdowns and intruder drills, that is one sharp school. It's up to date. There's no way an intruder can get into a classroom. And to eliminate a lot of that would be to push button to where they can't get down the halls, and I think they are discussing that. Now, if that comes about, I think we could possibly run one officer back and forth. But right now, anybody in this town could walk into that school during school hour and there's no security.
I don't know what statistics show, but just me trying to think of the school shootings we see on TV. And I'm not saying it couldn't happen in elementary by any means, but it seems like to me the largest percentage of them would be in the high school.
It's kind of ironic, but we had 3 calls last year with kids taking weapons to the elementary school.
I think I see it as a PR thing also. I think if you have a good officer in the school, he can create a good environment for the kids, and maybe that will display or detect some of the stuff that's going on in our town. It might keep them from doing drugs, it might keep them off the street, there's a lot of mights there that if the right officer is there and gets acquainted with all of those, I think it's a great PR thing for you, right?
Yeah.
And I think Officer Odell's a great person.
yeah, he's like the best
They
one
got
for
his own
position.
desk and his own name tags and stuff. They love him.
Yeah.
And he's great with kids, both high school and.
He's great with everybody.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Earl. Anyone else? It's a work in progress, and we're still working on it. Thank you for your recommendations, everyone. We'll move on then to item 8. Consider approval for Gary May and Tom Davis to conduct a fireworks display at Perry Lake, July 4th, 2018. It's something that's been going on a long time, and it's recommended we authorize those two to continue that tradition.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Nixie.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Number 9, consider nomination appointment of person for position 8 on the Perry Memorial Hospital Authority Board of Trustees.
Mayor, I'd like to send this back to the hospital and let them make the appointment.
That's what the board is gonna work on out there. Bill and I were at the meeting, and that was a very strong suggestion from him, and that they make that recommendation. If they can't or don't, then we'll do it.
You, Mel, Jim, Bill, sitting in that meeting, one of you can make a nomination if not.
Sure.
I did.
Good.
But we only had 4 out of 9 members there.
Yeah.
So,
That's the reason we need more people. But that's what we'll do. We'll
Want to table that?
well, we'll just table till they come back with a nomination, which will be from their next meeting.
For many years, the indenture has been followed very faithfully, and I think that's the case what needs to be done.
Do you need a motion to table that?
Yes, please.
Motion to table. Item 9.
Second.
Got a second? Roll call, please.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 10, discussion of priority of capital improvement projects and available funding. You can see the attached memo on item 10 in the back.
Thank you for letting us.
You do see the committed projects over on the left side there. Beginning with the 2015 sewer bond, you see the cash balance and how we would take that down to a negative 50, but it's 49,000 of that's offset by the grant that we, from NOTA that we have. 2016 street bonds. You see that there, that there's nothing in there.
We haven't taken bids.
Pardon?
We haven't taken bids on.
Or we haven't taken bids on that. 2016 capital outlay, you see $843,292 and some change is the beginning balance. If you go down, you'll see the $375,000 that we've talked about, the lift station, pumps 1 and 2 this year. We would finish pump 3 next year. $29,000 for repair of the clear well at the water plant. We recently had a inspection, a very in-depth inspection by DEQ. There were 6 significant deficiencies. Of those 6, this is the one that is the most important. The rest are administrative or something that we've already taken care of, like an alarm system, just need to be connected back up and redone. We've done that. So out of those 6, this is the only thing that's really pressing. They gave us 30 days to do this or some kind of plan. Our approach is to say, this is in budget fiscal year ending 2019. And we expect by the end of this month, statutorily we have to anyway, it will be approved. Going down that same column, you have $25,950 that we owe for the feasibility study on the bridge on the Fur overpass. I'm sorry. we have an invoice in-house, and that will come before the council next time when we meet on the 18th.
Just hang on just a second, Larry, please. Gordon, you made a mention that you were sending that back to them to do something different on that. Is that gonna cost us more money to
No.
change their mind?
No. They have to redo the budget, bring it up to, I think, current cost factors, and some stuff the division engineer requested. He's reviewing it also at ODOT.
So there won't be any more add-on to this 20?
No.
No, we're hoping that they'll help us with it, actually.
Sorry, Larry, go ahead.
That's okay. Sidewalk project, you see phase 1 and 2, $148,695. Phase 3, you see over on the other side. We're not to the point yet where we need to allocate that money. You see the hospital, $190,000. That's the remaining amount committed. And also the shortfall that we've sort of projected for $300,000, it's in there. We think that's gonna be less than that, actually. At least that's my opinion. I mean, she may have a different opinion about it. Pardon?
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Keep her mouth shut, okay. Nobody's throwing anything yet, you're okay.
They're predicting at the hospital meeting, we're gonna cover it totally.
I really think that, you know, the knee jerk is, oh my goodness, we have $1 million, but, you know, you're not gonna lose all that. You're gonna collect some of that.
Yeah.
And a good part of that. And I think that Stillwater certainly knows what they're doing, and I think that's gonna be nothing close to $300,000. Let me go back to the 2016 capital outlay bond. You look down at in electric, $15,000 is an economic development part that we've in the contract with Seth Wadley for underground electric. I asked Brian Wheatley twice if that was correct. It just seemed like it should be higher. But he said $15,000 will take care of that. It's really simple, just a matter of pipe and wire. That's really what it is. We've had issues at the Skyline addition, and he thinks $20,000 will take care of that. There have been some times when they have been out for a longer period of time than we feel comfortable with, and he thinks that if we don't do that and fix that this year, we may have an issue where we'll be out for days.
I remember us talking about this for years now.
Right. So let's go ahead and do that. And some of the things that we do that's in this budget and will be in next year's budget are things that we have not done in the past. And now we need to make certain that we do that. Phase 1 of Lakeview underground installation, actually the total estimate is $150,000 to loop it all and finish it exactly the way it should be. Brian feels that with $42,000 we can get the most important part of that this year in this fiscal year ending 2019 budget, and then roll the next part, the remaining part in the next year, or maybe we can split that in half and do that the next year. Okay. These are all significant expenses, and again, because we have not been doing it, taking care of those down the line in the past, we're trying to break them up so it's a little bit easier for us to chew. That's really what I'm trying to do. So those are our capital projects. Right now, we certainly have other needs, but we'll address that as we go. We think these are the ones that really are must-have. I asked the department heads to come up with a spreadsheet. I sent them a spreadsheet and I said, I'd like for you to divide it up into 3 things. Must-have, need to have, would like to have. Must-haves, that's what the priorities are, and that's what we have in here. And as you see, as we get into the departmental budgets, all of those are must-have unless it involves public safety. If it involves the safety of our employees, then I put it in there. Okay. Any questions?
You have the AMR listed on here.
I do.
And you also have phase 4. Do we have a cost on the phase 3 sewer project? Because that was our next project to do. And for some reason, I thought we had a cost on that? I don't remember what it was off the
We
top.
had $1 million guess, but this 375,000 would be part of that, I think.
Was that for phase?
The lift station.
Yeah.
Part of phase 4.
We had a conversation, I believe that Monday that was gone, that we kind of wanted to prioritize 4 over 3, so that we could start with the lift stations, because that large pump is making noise.
No, I'm
And
good
to
with
fix
that.
all 3 is $550,000. So we can fix 1 and 2 and get the SCADA system, that communication that's really important for us, so that we know the pressure of our towers. I think we can get by, and Vernon thinks that we can get by this year too. So we'll roll that pump 3 over into next year.
Thank you, Larry.
Yes, sir. Thank you. AMI, it's still a priority. Real careful with my employees, and when you see those gals come in all red-faced, because they've been out in the heat, or really cold, and then also you see how they are affected when they came this close from being bitten by a dog. We had 2 the month before last, 1 the month before that. This month, we've had not a bite, but a dog did get the shorts of one of our gals. To me, AMI that's my priority.
Where are we with getting our requests for bid proposals?
We're waiting on one of our staff members to go and physically see how it looks. This is a place in Texas, that's the closest one we can find, but we want to see how it interfaces with what we already have as far as Casella is concerned. To go through a virtual demonstration is one thing, but we wanted to visit and see them. I think that we have that scheduled, or we'll be getting it scheduled here shortly. And we had it scheduled for last week, and it just didn't transpire.
And after that's done, then we'd be ready to send out for a request.
We'll have something put together, yes, sir, for you to look at it again.
I agree with that priority. Phase 3, it's just length of line, is it not, some manholes there?
I think it's a little deeper than that. Yeah.
What were you saying, Gordon?
I was asking about on phase 3 what it was. I forgot. I have.
Yeah, a lot of manhole work on that. There is a lot, but I think you're right, it's deeper than that, but it all runs down that creek up there.
Well, it
On
infiltrates the line.
Brookwood, and behind my house, and on over behind Chuck's house, all the way kind of to the football field. And there's a lot of manholes that are really low, taking in water.
Yeah. That's something you really don't want. I didn't know it was length of.
Yeah, that just ups the amount of water that has to go through our sewer system.
Infiltration's a real problem. Okay, thank you, Larry.
Water treatment
Excuse me, I have to have We'll move on. Any other questions or comments?
Please feel free to call me or contact me or let me know. I certainly will answer whatever questions that we have.
We don't have anything else on that west side electric other than just the feeder line pole replacement?
Yes, sir, that's correct. I believe you were all for it. The letter from OMPA basically saying just stand down for a while. So that's the reason why nothing's in there.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yes, you're up. Number 11, receive the recommendation of the Perry Planning Commission on application from Beach and Teresa Prigmore on the address of 103 North First Street, Perry, Oklahoma. They're the applicant. To rezone a certain tract of land, comments zoning of RG, that is General Residential District, to AG, Agricultural District at 103 North First Street, Perry, Oklahoma. Hereafter called the property. We have decided to table that. There's
Let's have David.
oh, I'm sorry.
David, if you don't mind, would you come up?
Yeah,
sure.
David's gonna be with us for 11 and 12. This went before the planning commission. We were headed down one track, and all of a sudden, we decided we'd go another track. And so, David, if you'll explain that, thank you,
Right.
sorry.
The Brigmores were at the planning commission and explained what their intent was, and just briefly, it was so one or two of their children could raise a 4-H animal in their backyard.
First of all, can you explain to where that's at?
At the drive, Memorial Drive that goes out to the cemetery. As you start up the drive, there is a house with about 4 garage doors facing west.
Is that across from the park?
Yes,
Okay.
diagonal from the corner of the park. And if you go diagonally across that block to the other far corner, there is a double wide setting in the other corner of that whole block. That's the only 2 residences in that entire city block. We're talking about the double wide in the far corner.
They have a tall fence around their property.
And they wanted to put a pen with a small building and raise up to 4 goats in that pen. The pen would be approximately a half a block from any of the nearest neighbors. We had several people attend in protest. I'd rather say with concerns, but they had signed a letter of protest for the same reason that others of us, I think, were not comfortable with rezoning. Because once it was rezoned, then that would open it up to any kind of animals, any number, for any length of time. And they, the group did have a presenter present their protest, and he went on to say that they were not against the kids raising 4-H animals there at their house. They were fine with that, if it could be limited to some number of animals for some length of time. But they just were against rezoning that would open it up to everything and anything for any length of time. So I think everyone was together with the concern. I don't believe there was anyone in the room that had an objection to allowing the 4-H kids to raise a 4-H animal in that location. That was okay. They stated that that was okay. The speaker did say, though, that he didn't have every protester, everyone who had signed the letter was not represented. Most of them were, but not every one of them. So, but he was saying that everyone there and he would agree that raising the animal or animals was not a problem. It was the rezoning that we're against. So we presented a possible alternative, and I had talked to Bryce about this prior to the meeting, and he felt like it was probably a viable alternative, and that would be to consider the raising of those 4-H animals as home occupation. Just went away. As a home occupation. And I read the terms of home occupation, and it's primarily talking about some sort of business conducted by the residents that does not add parking or traffic or other things that would bother the neighbors. And among everyone here, it seemed to be agreeable that, yeah, that sounds like that would work, because it limits the approved use. It limits it to the existing residents. If they sell it, move it, whatever, deals off. And it states what it's to be used for. So there are your limitations. That gives you a time. You can say in that approval that it's for no more than 4 animals, and it's just for the people that live there. So that seemed agreeable to everyone, and I think it came pretty close to being passed to the council with that recommendation. But it was mentioned that even though it's the same notifications going to the same property owners to raise the same animals, it's called something different. So they voted against the rezoning, which was what was before them to be voted on. So they recommended that you not go forward with the rezoning, but they recommended that the property owner, or that the Pridmores come back and ask to be approved as a home occupation. And like I said, the same notifications will go to the same people. And part of that motion was for the city to waive the city expenses. The reason it's stated that way is because Gloria would have to republish to the same people under a different title, and that's going to cost them $300 and some is what they said. So City of Perry doesn't have any authority to waive that, but we could waive the other cost involved. So that was agreeable, it seemed, to everyone, to deny the rezoning, but ask them to come back and that recommend that the council approve waiving of the city expenses. Any questions?
So our action should be to deny
Deny.
11 and to deny 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Motion to deny. Okay, sorry, Mayor.
Item 12. The recommendation was to approve 2018-12. Do we have a motion to approve this?
Which item are you on?
I'm on 12. I mean 11, I'm sorry.
There's no action there.
There's no action on that.
That's just read it, I'm sorry. I'm on 12.
I'm gonna get you to read that one way or the other.
Oh. You want me to read 12, Bill? Consider approval of ordinance number 2018-12, City Council, City of Perry, amending zoning from RG, which is General Residential District, to AG, Agricultural District, at 103 North First Street, Perry, Oklahoma.
That sounds good.
That's enough, isn't it?
Motion to deny.
Second. We have a motion and second. Roll call, please.
Kolar.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
David's here for that one, for 13 too.
Item 13 is receive recommendation of Perry Planning Commission on application by Alicia, is that right? Ashley Sadler, for a home occupation use by review. It's for a home cosmetologist on the following real property, which is lot 32 through 35, block 3, quarter edition, Perry, Oklahoma. She wants to put in a beauty shop in her home. There she is.
David, do you have anything to say about this?
Who'd you say?
You.
David.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Others. Okay.
He forgot his name for a minute.
We all have an issue tonight.
This is
Yeah,
pretty
we're
complicated
about the
stuff.
same age, we're forgetting a lot of things.
She meets all the requirements. She understands what the requirements and restrictions are for home occupation. There were no people here to protest, and we saw no reason to deny it. Looks like a good fit. So it's recommended to the council that you approve the home occupation.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion? We have a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call, Dixie.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. See if I can't get 14 right. Consider approval of payment of an invoice in the amount of $5,040 to MKEC Engineering for engineering services on the 2018-2019 street improvements, Jackson to 12th to 9th Streets. There's a detail in the back, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir.
Recommended by the staff to approve this request for payment.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Item 15, consider approval of payment of an invoice in the amount of $890.50 to MKEC Engineering for engineering services on general engineering services. It's an invoice in the back that worked on a number of small projects.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. Item 16, consider approval resolution 2018-04, authorizing participation in the OMAG recognition program and affirmation of the 4 criteria were met and the dates of those actions were completed. City should approve the enclosed resolution and direct the city clerk to provide minutes and the dates of the 4 criteria that were met by the governing body.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 17, consider approval of ordinance number 2018-11 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, providing for the setting a minimum speed limit of 20 miles per hour on Marchbank Street and directing the city manager or his designee to erect appropriate signage to notify the public, providing for repealer savings, penalties, severability, and declaring an emergency.
I am absolutely amazed that we have 11 responses.
I am too.
And one of those no votes were the guy riding that motorcycle, I promise you.
I have a big problem. You read this as setting a minimum speed.
That's what it says.
No, it says
That's
max.
Oh, maximum, I'm sorry. You got that, Dixie? You gotta go at least.
See, what I'm noticing is when we go past an hour, we lose our efficiency.
He's done.
It's nap time.
I just needed something to boost me a little bit. Any suggestions? I'm sorry, do I need to read that?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Motion on emergency.
Second.
Roll call, Dixie.
Kildare.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. I just need one more person here to correct me tonight. I have the full council.
I haven't yet. I
All
volunteer.
right, thank you. Let's check on 18, see how far we get on it. Approval of agreement with the Board of County Commissioners in Noble County, Oklahoma, providing for the payment of the, pictometry services. I knew what that was, I just couldn't get it out. Pictometry.
You were just checking with the rest of us, weren't you?
That is, see, Jim missed his chance.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dixie, what do we got?
I couldn't pronounce it either.
This is for the 9E11 system that we in the county participate in.
We have a cost sharing with them.
Yes.
With them, and it's very helpful, number of things we do.
I would like to refer to Dixie on this, if you don't mind, sir. We did this several years back, right? Is this an upgrade?
We do it, and no, we just have to renew it every year, because we have to pay the fee every year for it. It's alive, because they're always upgrading it, so that's why we have to pay a fee every year. It's not like we buy something and everything stays the same, because they're always updating their information.
Like a maintenance fee?
Right. So we just have to renew the contract every year.
So I remember when we originally did this, there was a lot of discussion about it.
Yes, and we have used it probably way more than we ever thought we would. They use the police and the fire, I know use it extensively, Dave uses it extensively for code enforcement. The ladies up front use it whenever we're trying to determine specific properties. It's well used.
How much
Send a
is
bomb
the
to
payment?
somebody's house.
We're okaying the agreement, but it says on the payment, I couldn't find anywhere where the payment was.
I believe page 2.
It was 7,000 or something.
Well, that's,
$2,600.
How much?
2,600.
2,600.
They're part.
A year?
Yes, that's an annual payment.
And payable in 3 yearly installments of $2,632.33.
So do they do a flyover every year, or
2 years.
every 2 years?
I think it's 2 years.
Okay.
What's neat about that service is they update it. If we're going on a call, they can say, when you get to that house, watch out, because there's a rose bush behind that door you might get into, and there's now a goldfish pond. I mean, it's, and then the fire end, they get to a fire, they know where the hydrant, they can click on that hydrant and go to the house and say, you got 150 feet of hose you're gonna need to get that fire out. It's a great tool.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that.
it's really sophisticated. It's-
Who runs that system in the time of emergency?
Dispatch.
Okay.
This will be our third payment anyway.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
Roll call, Dixie.
Colnar.
yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 19, approve resolution 2018-05, which authorizes the execution of an agreement with Stillwater Medical Center and the health plan to provide group insurance, health insurance to city employees and their dependents, if applicable, during the fiscal year 2018-2019, setting out the specifics and additional insurance coverages.
Why are we doing this before the budget? Doesn't this kind of coincide with the approving the budget?
I think, so that we can have numbers to make sure that our budget is
Okay.
the right thing, plugged in the right spot, see if there's any excess there.
I'm very excited about this plan. Our emergency room deductible is lower, our prescription copays are lower, our copays per visit are lower. We couldn't have asked for anything better.
Beat all the other.
Yeah,
This one of the reasons it's also put on here now is because this means changing insurance, obviously, from the current healthcare. And physically, to get those meetings set up, get all the employees in there, get it done, get it all entered in the computer. If we waited till the next meeting, it just would be such a crunch. We really would have to struggle to get it done and keep everybody's coverage in effect. So that's really one of the biggest reasons we need it on here now. And I realize it's part of the budget, but since the price is not much different than last year.
And there is such a big difference between the next favorite coverage. Yeah, definitely.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Dixie.
We're committing this. Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Any new business need to be brought before the council this evening? Anything big? Item 21.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, Dixon.
O'Learn.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Franklin.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Strowman.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.